Hello guys, in this video I'm going to explain and talk about some of the important concepts that we have discussed previously in class. The presentation will it contains the following. Number one, definition of the term translation, acronyms, important ones for translators, interpreting versus translating. We are going to differentiate between the two activities, and we'll end with the types of translation according to Jakobson. So let's define translation and let's think about the things that would come into your mind when you hear the term translation. So translation could mean the process of transferring meaning. It also could mean a product of translation activity, and lastly it may mean also a field of study. Let's take them one by one and provide examples to make the idea clear. Number one, translation as a process. It means the process of taking an original text or a source text and turning it into a text in another language. Or it is the process of transferring meaning from one language into another. For example, we have Ali رجل طيب. It can be translated as Ali is a good man. So this is the first definition of translation, which is translation as a process. Number two, translation as a product. It means a text produced by the translator, or it means the target text. For example, we have this English source text, and this is the translation of the English source text. The final product of the translation can be called as a target text or the product of the translation. The third definition of translation could also mean translation as a field of study. And here we can see the image of TRD Translation Department at our university. As for the acronyms that every student should know, we have SL, which means source language, which is the language that you are translating from. In our case, it is English. The other acronym is TL, which is the target language, that language that you are translating into. And of course, it's going to be Arabic in our case. We also need to know that ST means source text, and in this case, it is this part that says happiness is the feeling that comes over you when you know life is good. And on the other hand, we have the target text, which is the TT, and it is the result of the translation from a given source text, and we have this is the TT or the target text. Let's talk about the differences between interpreting and translating. We have interpreting as oral translation of a spoken message or text. Here, guys, I want you to focus on the underlined parts. Translation, on the other hand, is written translation of a written text or of written texts. As you can see here, we have an image that shows the main differences between translator and interpreter, where a translator works with written words and interpreter works with spoken words. Translator writes while interpreter speaks. Now let's talk about Jakobson and his typology of written translation. So Jakobson says that there are three main types of translation or written translation. The first type is intralingual translation, the second type interlingual translation, and the last one is intersemiotic translation. Interlingual translation is the translation within the same language, which can involve rewording or paraphrasing. A very clear example is taken from one of the Syrian series, where the characters interact and speak specific dialect in Syria, and dialect is very difficult for some people in the Arab world. So what they try to do, they try to provide intralingual translation to some of the difficult words to make the series accessible to all people in the Arab world. For example, we can see the word frari. It is translated as Hatim al-Ilzamiya. So this is a type of intralingual translation. The second type of translation, according to Jakobson, is translation from one language to another, which is translation proper, as scholars call it. For example, we have the diary of a wimpy kid translated into Arabic. So the process here is called interlingual translation, when we translate from one language into another, and this is what we are going to do in our class from now on. So we're going to take a text that is written in Arabic and we're going to convert it into English, and this is what we call interlingual translation. The last type of translation, according to Jakobson, is intersemiotic translation, which is the translation of the verbal sign by non-verbal sign. And as you can see here, the traffic light, we have the green color. It means basically go. So when we translate what we see on the traffic light and we ask our brother who is driving the car, for example, to just go because it's green, what you are doing here is what we call intersemiotic translation. That's it for today. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.